3 days ago, I caught my husband cheating. I didn't cry, didn't make a fuss. I just shut the door and celebrated them finding each other. But in the end, they were at each other's throats and begging me for mercy. Funny how that turned out. My name was Alicia West. 3 days ago, I found out my husband was cheating, and not in some subtle, heartbreaking way. Nope, straight out of a soap opera. I got off work early to grab a file I left at home, opened the bedroom door, and there they were. Leon Durant, the man I'd been married to for 3 years, was tangled up in our bed with another woman. I didn't scream, didn't cry. I didn't even say a word. I just stood there, frozen at the doorway, watching the man who promised to love me hold another woman affectionately like I'd never existed. Leon didn't notice me. He was too focused on her, and I knew who she was. Vivian Jackson, a fresh-faced girl from his marketing team. She was a new hire, just out of college, pretty, big eyes, sweet smile, the whole innocent package. I remembered Leon mentioning her about 6 months ago, said she had promised that he wanted to help her grow. Yeah, it looked like he did a hell of a job with that. I backed out of the room without a sound, walked out of the house like I was floating. None of it felt real. Out on the street, I didn't even know where I was going. Then my phone rang. It was Samuel Murray, my assistant. Ms. West, the design proposal for tomorrow's meeting is ready. Do you want to take a look tonight? He asked. His voice was calm and gentle as always, like he could sense I needed something solid to hold on to. Samuel. I barely recognized my own voice. It was shaking. Can I ask you something? Of course, he replied. If the person you trusted most betrayed you, what would you do? There was a pause on the other end. Then Samuel answered quietly, I'd make sure they paid for it. Pay? How? I'd take away whatever they care about most. I started laughing right there on the sidewalk so hard that I cried. Ms. West? Samuel's tone changed into concern. Are you okay? I'm fine. I wiped my tears and pulled myself together. My voice was clear again. Samuel, I need you to look into Leon's company. Find out what projects they're working on. I want to know if they've got any weaknesses, anything fatal. Understood. He didn't ask why. He never did. That was one of the reasons I liked him. Samuel never questioned my choices. He just had my back, always. I'd hired Samuel 3 years ago. He was top of his class, smart, competent, ridiculously reliable. And yeah, easy on the eyes in that calm, effortless way. People said he was wasting his potential as an assistant, that he could have gotten a better job anywhere, but he stayed right by my side, day after day. I once asked Samuel why. He just smiled and said he liked where he was. Looking back now, maybe Samuel had always seen Leon for who he really was. And I was the idiot who kept myself in the dark. When I got back to the office, Samuel was still there. Only one desk lamp on. The rest of the room was dim. He sat at his computer, already digging through data. It's late, I said, walking in. Why are you still here? Waiting for you. He looked up, eyes darker than usual. Ms. West, what happened? I looked at him. For the first time in a long while, I wanted to lean on someone. Leon had been coming home less and less, talking to me even less than that. But Samuel? He was always there for me. Late nights at the office, brainstorming design ideas with me, actually listening. Some days Samuel felt more like family than my own husband. Leon's cheating, I said flatly. I saw it with my own eyes today. Samuel's fingers froze above the keyboard. No big reaction, just a flicker of tension. His hand tightened around the mouse. I'm sorry, Samuel said quietly. Why are you apologizing? I asked. Because I already knew. He looked at me, guilt softening his voice. He looked pained for me. I found hotel records and bank transfers, but I didn't know how to tell you. I was stunned. When did you find out? I asked. 2 months ago, he replied. Why didn't you say anything? Because I didn't want to hurt you. He stood and came over to me. And because I knew you'd figure it out eventually. I stared at this man who'd quietly been standing guard over my life, and something in me cracked open. A gush of warmth surged into my heart. Thank you, I whispered. You don't have to thank me, he said softly. Protecting you, that's something I should do. Then can you do something else for me? Anything. Help me ruin Leon. I saw something flicker in his eyes then, something sharp and dangerous. Then he smiled. With pleasure, he replied. For the next week, I played the part of the clueless, loving wife. I came home on time every night, cooked dinner for Leon, asked about his day, even fussed over whether he was working too hard. Leon, of course, looked touched by my sweetness. He even suggested we see a movie that weekend. Really? I asked, pretending to be surprised. It's been forever since we went to the movies together. Yeah, he said, reaching out to pat my head. Work's been crazy lately. I haven't given you enough attention. Once this project's over, I'll make it up to you. I smiled and nodded, but I was smirking coldly inwardly. Project? More like a weekend getaway with his side piece. Oh, by the way, I said casually as I cleared the table. How's that Vivian girl doing? You mentioned she was really capable last time. Leon's expression faltered for half a second, but he recovered quickly. She's fine. A promising employee, he answered. Good. You should mentor her well, I said, feigning encouragement. Watching him force a calm smile almost made me giddy. Acting? Please. Two could play that game. The next morning, I walked into the office wearing a red dress, Leon's favorite kind on me. It was fitted, elegant, with just the right amount of allure. Wow. Ms. West, you look stunning today, Samuel said when he saw me. Thanks. I smiled. You got the information ready? Everything's here. He handed me a folder. Mr. Durant's company is in the middle of negotiating a major deal. If this one tanks, they're looking at least a $9 million loss. I flipped through the documents. There were clean and precise detailed project breakdowns, their cash flow projections, risk assessments. Nice work, I said, nodding. Anything else? This. He passed me a tablet. Vivian Jackson's full background, family, education, and recent spending habits. I scanned through it, and the more I read, the more amused I got. Turned out, Vivian wasn't some innocent, wide-eyed intern. She had a history of targeting married men. This wasn't her first time playing this game. Leon had no idea the little angel he thought he was protecting was actually a predator in disguise. Her spending's interesting, I said, pointing to a few items. Chanel bag, $30,000. Cartier watch, 45 grand. Not exactly pocket change. Gifts from Mr. Durant, Samuel confirmed. I traced the transfers. 150 grand in 3 months? I let out an icy laugh. She's got quite the appetite. Want me to send all all this to Mr. Durant's mother? No. I closed the folder. I've got a better idea. Around noon, I called Leon. Babe, I said sweetly, I'm craving your cooking. Think you can come home early tonight? He sounded apologetic. Today's not great. We've got a critical client meeting for that new project. What kind of meeting's that important? Just the usual. There's lots of details to iron out. All right, just don't push yourself too hard. I hung up and smiled to myself. Client meeting? I scoffed inwardly. He probably meant date night. At 4 o'clock sharp, I walked into the cafe across from Leon's office building. It had a great view of his office entrance. At 5:30, I saw Leon walk out. He didn't drive his car, getting into a taxi instead. I texted Samuel. He's out. Go. A moment later, Samuel replied, got it. I followed the cab all the way to a fancy restaurant downtown. It was the same place we'd gone for our wedding anniversary. How ironic that Leon was now bringing someone else here. I picked a discreet seat across the street and waited. It didn't take long before Vivian arrived. She was dressed in a flowing white dress, full makeup, flawless curls. She looked beautiful. I'd give her that. The second Leon saw her, his face lit up like he'd just won the lottery. I raised my phone and started snapping photos. Every moment was captured. Leon pulling out her chair, serving her food, kissing her hand like they were some kind of fairy tale couple. I stared at the images, and for a second, I couldn't tell what I was feeling. Anger, sadness, relief, maybe all of the above. Then my phone rang. Ms. West. Samuel's voice came through the line, calm and composed. Everything's ready. Mr. Durant will get his surprise tomorrow morning. Perfect. I looked across the street at the lovebirds. Let's see how long Leon can keep smiling. I ended the call and walked away. If we were putting on a show, I was going to make damn sure it got rave reviews. Did Leon think he could betray me and walk away clean? He had no idea what was coming. The next morning, Leon got a phone call that made his face go pale. I sat on the couch pretending to flip through a magazine, but my eyes were quietly tracking every twitch of his expression. What? The project's canceled? His voice jumped an octave. That's impossible. We just confirmed everything yesterday. Whoever was on the other end said something else, and I watched as the color drained from his face. I'll be right there, he muttered, then hung up and rushed to throw on his clothes. What happened? I asked, sounding genuinely concerned. Something came up at work. I need to get to the office now. He didn't even touch the breakfast I'd made before flying out the door. Once he was gone, I put down the magazine and called Samuel. Did it work? I asked. Flawlessly, Samuel said, sounding more than a little satisfied. The client pulled out of the deal. Moreover, they're demanding compensation. How much? $9 million, Samuel replied. I let out a low chuckle. Beautifully done. This is just the beginning, Samuel said calmly. The best is still coming. Around noon, Samuel messaged me. Leon must be losing his mind now. Vivian just asked him for 150 grand, said it was some family emergency. I smiled as I read the text. Even I couldn't have planned it better. Salt in the wound, as they say. That afternoon, I showed up at Leon's office with lunch. The receptionist recognized me right away and waved me through. The moment I stepped into his office, the smell of cigarette smoke hit me like a wall. Leon was hunched over a mountain of paperwork, looking 10 years older than he had yesterday. Babe, what are you doing here? He asked, forcing a weak smile. Brought you lunch. I set the lunchbox down on his desk. You rushed out this morning without eating a thing. Thanks, sweetheart. He reached out like he was going to hug me, but I subtly stepped back. Eat. Your stomach comes first, I said with a warm smile. You look exhausted. Is everything okay? He sighed. Ran into some trouble. That project's off the rails. That serious? It'll be fine, he said, trying to play it down. However, I noticed the slight tremor in his hand as he picked up his fork. Need help? My company's sitting on a decent cash reserve, I remarked deliberately. His eyes lit up for a second, but the hope faded just as quickly. No, I'll handle it, he said. All right, but if you need anything, you know where to find me. I stood. I'll head back. Don't forget to eat. As I left his office, I ran into Vivian in the hallway. The moment she saw me, she froze, just for a second. Then she forced a polite smile. Mrs. Durant. Miss Jackson, I said sweetly. Leon speaks highly of you. He says you're very talented. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Mrs. Durant. Vivian's smile was noticeably strained. The elevator doors opened and we stepped in together. The silence between us stretched tight. Then I broke it. That's a lovely bag, by the way. Chanel? Vivian instinctively clutched it closer. Yes, it's a great style. I almost bought it myself. Pricey, though. What, like 30 grand? I remarked. You must be doing well for yourself, Miss Jackson. Not many young women can afford something like that so soon after graduating. Her face stiffened. It was a gift from a friend. Lucky you, I said, giving her a long, knowing look. Good friends are hard to come by. The elevator dinged. I stepped out and turned back with a smile. Oh, and Miss Jackson, just a word of advice. Don't get too greedy. It's a fast way to fall on your face. Her startled expression was all the dessert I needed that day. When I got back to my office, Samuel was already waiting. Mr. Durant's been getting hit with calls from creditors all afternoon, he reported. Looks like the pressure's building fast. And Vivian? I asked. She was in his office for half an hour. Didn't look happy coming out. I nodded. Looks like they're starting to blame each other. Should we turn up the heat? Samuel asked. No need to rush, I said as I sat down. Let the chaos sink in. Leon's like a trapped animal right now. He'll unravel on his own. Sure enough, that night, Leon came home looking like a broken man. Babe, he said, sitting down on the couch, his tone unusually serious. Can we talk? What about? I asked, keeping my voice light. I need to borrow some money. I was in the kitchen, rinsing dishes. The moment those words came out of his mouth, my hands stilled, but only for a second. I kept washing. How much? I asked. $15 million, Leon answered. The plate slipped out of my fingers and clattered into the sink. I turned to him, eyebrows raised, playing shocked perfectly. 50 million? What happened? Leon rubbed his hands nervously and wouldn't meet my eyes. The company hit a rough patch. We need cash to keep things afloat. What kind of rough patch needs that much cash? I walked over and sat across from him. Leon, are you hiding something from me? No, I swear. It's just that the project collapsed, and we're on the hook for a penalty. His forehead was sweating now. Please, Alicia, just lend me this once. I'll pay you back. I promise. A complex emotion filled me as I looked at the man I'd once believed I could grow old with. Now all I saw was someone who'd cheat on his wife and then come crawling back for a handout, all for his lover.